Hey, you. Welcome back to the channel. And guys, today I want to talk about the full season of The Defenders. Uh, this will be spoilers in this. So if you haven't binge watched on Netflix yet, if you haven't finished the series, you can always come back later after you've done that. Watch this as we will have some spoilers here and there. But I just want to say, going into The Defenders, despite the uh, various reviews and ideas about the Defenders that maybe it failed in certain ways, I'm gonna have to disagree. I think the Defenders uh, did a pretty darn good job bringing all our characters together. I thought the story worked well. It didn't feel like it felt natural to me. It didn't feel like it was just slammed together. I thought it was a pretty organic, and I thought it gelled pretty well. I guess my only complaint with the Defenders at this level would be I think it might still have been a little bit too early to release the Defenders. I can kind of see how the Marvel TV shows are doing a similar thing to the movies with um, kind of introducing individual stories, then uniting teams together, and Marvel's been able to do that very well, and they do a pretty good job here in the Defenders too. But I just think that it may not be necessary to have too many of these Marvel shows on Netflix, various things like that, um, because they're getting a lot. I think they want to do Colleen Wing and Miss Detective Misty Knight. I think they want to have their own show. Then I've heard things like they want to do Luke Cage and Iron Fist. They want to do another season of Daredevil. They want to do The Punisher. They want to do another season of Jessica Jones. And so um, I think that it probably would just be easier to focus on a few solid, good shows and have these other characters regularly appear on them. That's just my opinion about it. But anyway, guys, I thought that the how they put everything together with the Defenders for a television show was pretty good. And that's another thing I think what tends to happen is I think TV's become so much on par with Hollywood now, that we do forget that this is a TV show with a limited budget. Um, this takes place in New York, although we have rich characters, specifically like Danny Rand, who comes from various parts, or who has access to international, running the Rand Corporation, being so high up in the Rand Corporation. So but all of this pretty much just happens, as we know, in Hell's Kitchen, New York, and areas like that, Harlem, areas around New York, and but trying to be fair with it as a TV show, you got a limited budget. So as far as superhero shows go, what Marvel or what Netflix and Marvel has done, I think it's been awesome. So I guess what I'm trying to say, guys, is that to me, it looks like some people, when they talk about the Defenders, what they're doing with the Defenders, they look at it on a level, like a Hollywood movie. And, that's not what this is. This is a TV, a weekly TV show. So there's going to be some limitations with that. Although I know the advancements TV has made, but when it comes to superhero shows, I would say, as far as television shows, um, Marvel and Netflix cooperation team up has done the best. And although they do reference that they all exist in the same universe, that's fine. Do I think it's necessary? No, I think that Marvel Netflix shows stand on their own a lot better, or rather they stand well enough on their own to where they don't have to necessarily exist in this in the same universe as all the Marvel characters. You know, like how they reference the incident that happened in New York already, and then this to me, the Marvel shows is kind of like, I guess it would be like comparing Christian Bale's Batman to Ben Affleck's Batman. You got Ben Affleck's Batman who jails, you know, more into this Justice League team up. And then you got a Christian Bale Batman who's more feels like he's more in a realistic setting, and that's how I feel about the Marvel Netflix team up. I feel these heroes to me feel like they're more in a realistic setting. But anyway, let's focus specifically on what we got in Defenders. Why I think the Defenders is just such a great was just such a great show, and you know, uh, a lot of the problems that we got going into Defenders with a lot of controversy uh, about Danny Rand or the Iron Fist. A lot of people didn't like that show. You know, I'm not going to talk about the Iron Fist, go deeper to that. I did do a review on it, but I'm just going to say that I thought everything was okay with it. I just thought it went on too long. I think the 8 episode model that they did here with the Defenders would have worked a lot better, you know, with Danny Rand's story, and that's what I touched on in the Iron Fist review. Um, but you know, they obviously his story was a focal point because what we got in the Defenders is we got a lot of his story moving the plot along. You know, the Hand, Kung Loon, Immortality, dragons, and of course the substance that creates this immortality in these people. Um, and so I thought that was all great. You know, we got Sigourney Weaver, who was, you know, one of the main leaders of the Hand. And I thought she was a pretty good villain. I thought she played, you know, I found it very interesting how she ran the Hand, you know, what her motivations were, and what all their motivations were, you know, as far as trying to stay alive and to stay in power and things like that. And the whole thing with Elektra and Elektra being the main villain. But that you know that part with Elektra, I would say, um, I didn't really. I don't think I really liked them making her the focal point. But I guess that's the direction they were going in. I don't know if I really liked Elektra as a you know, as a you know, as much of a force and a being that they made her. I didn't really understand her powers exactly. You know how she was so much stronger than I understood the immortality thing and that she couldn't die, but apparently she was more than that. She was the Hand's weapon that that they brought out through the show. I wish they would have did a little bit more to help us understand her power. You know, much like how Danny Rand was the Iron Fist. We understood his story and his power. I wish they would have gave us a little bit more backstory on Elektra being this powerful hand weapon and how she was so powerful and able to fight with the Defenders, even though she couldn't really defeat the Defenders. Everybody could have kind of stood their ground, but she would get the heads up on the Defenders, ever so often and things like that. Jessica Jones. Uh, I think I was gonna like the Defenders anyway because I like Jessica Jones so much. I like Jessica Jones, and we got a lot of her. Basically, every one of these characters pretty much brought in their own, TV shows and plots and characters. So I guess what I'm saying is if you like some, the TV, their individual shows, you're gonna like you're gonna like a lot of this because you're gonna see basically the Jessica Jones show, Luke Cage show, Daredevil show. You're gonna see them in certain segments, almost like watching their individual shows, and so and mixing it into the Defender. So I already knew going into that, I was gonna like, seeing that and from the beginning how they were setting up and how they were doing. It's like, okay, I'm gonna like this, but I would have to say Jessica Jones, uh, to me, has done the best writing. She's one of the most fun characters. Although I don't feel they did a lot with Jessica. Well, they did do, quite a bit. She in her detective work. She had a pretty pivotal part, to play in it. Find out things. So I think they covered Jessica enough, and I like that part. Like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. Those are my favorite. Jessica Jones first, Luke Cage second, Daredevil, and then although people have xed out the Iron Fist, I didn't think Iron Fist was that bad. And especially in this. But I will say this though, maybe it would have been better because I do feel they're making too many of these superhero shows. Off of the Defenders here. They got the Punisher coming up. I do think it might have would have been better since Danny Rand's story was such a big part of what we got here in the Defenders. I think it probably would have probably been better if Danny Rand could have been introduced in the Defenders, and instead of him having his own show a season, why not extend the Defenders a little bit? Maybe another 4 episodes or so. Instead of doing 8, maybe do 12, and have flashbacks, introductions of Danny Rand, just to give us an idea of how the Iron Fist and the world of Kung Lun work, and then blend his story into the Defenders. I think it would have been a lot easier to do something like that. But all in all, guys, I liked how they were just able to get everybody teamed up because I was a little bit worried about that. I was like, okay, so how you're just gonna slam all these people together? But they actually did a pretty good job of convincing me that they could all work together, that they all, the whole set plot, this whole plot of how they, were brought together, dealing with the hand together, all having elements of, that hand story, but also finding out the 5 fingers of the hand. Who are these 5 major immortal people that you could only kill by cutting off their heads. Um, Finding out who they were and getting a little insight into each one. I found them very interesting. I thought that they did a good job on introducing us to the main leaders of the hand, bringing them all back together, and just how they operated, and so I liked all that. So yeah, I thought the Defenders did a great job. I thought maybe it was too early though. Like I said, maybe they could have waited to do it a little bit longer. Again, maybe with the Iron Fist being so, pivotal to the whole pushing the whole story, maybe he could have just came into this and the Defenders could have been his setup. I think that would have been, great stuff. Um, and like I said, the only part about the whole show I say I didn't really like is making Elektra this big villain because, Elektra, she hasn't really had a lot of specific backstory about Elektra. It's always been kind of Elektra. Elektra's kind of been, and I guess that's kind of the point I'm making a little bit too. Some characters you can do like that, where they don't get a whole lot of backstory. You just kind of push them in there. Maybe Danny Rand could have been like that. The Iron Fist could have been similar to that. Maybe what they're going to do with Misty Knight and Colleen Wing, instead of them getting their own show, maybe it would be kind of would have been better just to have them pop up on some existing shows. And even with the Punisher, I like the character of the Punisher. I think this guy who plays the Punisher, he might be the best Punisher I've ever seen. But will his own show be able to carry itself? Do we need to see 2 or 3 seasons of the Punisher fighting, his particular people and being involved in this world? Maybe not. Maybe it would have been best to have him surfacing up in, different episodes. So pretty solid shows already. which I would say is Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage. I think these are the solid, shows. So maybe that would have been better had they gone that route. I think with it, but but the problem with Elektra was they made her the main villain because we have this interesting, powerful actress Sigourney Weaver playing Alexandra, the main leader of the Hand. She's killed off very quickly, very soon by Elektra without really establishing Elektra's motivations and things like that. And so that was kind of weird. I felt kind of rushed writing and things like that. So didn't like that part. And that's the only negative I had about the show. It actually did a lot better with me watching, me looking at how it came together than I thought. I thought it was going to be a lot more messier than it was, just because I just felt that how they were all coming together. I just, maybe I don't know if it's that they haven't had enough seasons yet to get established or something like that. But I think the Defenders. I could have seen the Defenders being done in late 2019, 2020, something like that. But anyway, guys, that's my opinion about the Defenders. All pretty much positive on my part, except for a few little things. Guys, let me know what you think about the season of the Defenders. Are you kind of with this? It seems to be kind of split in the middle, right? Some people don't think it was that great. Some people thought it was okay. But I haven't heard really negative reviews, and I think that's because people like the actress who plays Jessica Jones, Krista. I keep losing her last name, and Michael Coulter, who of course plays Luke Cage, and Daredevil's character Matt Murdock. And even Danny Rand in this, I thought everybody did a good job on this one, but I just knew Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I knew I was going to like it because I like their characters so much. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. And until next time, take care.